Okay, here's my attempt at showing you guys the workflow. So first one I'm going to do is patient education. So you can see I've already got a bunch of this visits. I go to the patient education widget, make sure that I'm looking at suggested, and click anything that I think is appropriate. You can go over here, and if you've clicked too many or clicked something that isn't right, delete them. As I mentioned, there's no need to print from here, although they can. You can also edit if you like as well. This would allow you to add any comments, whatever you want to add to it. You can just sign this. And again, as long as they do this piece before they generate and print the visit summary, then it will print automatically. Another component that we didn't talk about is this checkout component. It should be added to everyone's workflow page. This helps you keep up with some of the meaningful use. You can see that I've done visit charges. My visit summary's already been done in this case because it's a test patient, and I've done my education. You can click on any of one of these links to take you to that section of the chart. In this case, I'm going to click on medication reconciliation because that's what we're going to do next. Actually, first I'll show you that med history's already been done. If it hasn't been done, you can click on any of these headings to take you to that section of the chart as well. So we'll click here. This will bring up my MedRec window, consistent with what we looked at earlier. We can click a couple. No, that errors because I'm on a test patient. We can click a couple. We can say we're going to prescribe. And then we can actually adjust this if we need to. This is what you see in the screen prints that we got. I can change my number of refills. Here is where we make sure that the patient has a pharmacy. You can see that this patient does have a preferred pharmacy. I could also print it as well as say do not send call, which is what I'm going to do since this is a test patient. Although for meaningful use, they should electronically prescribe it whenever possible. I can then acknowledge remaining home meds. That gets me all the credit I need. I'll click my reconcile and sign. If I were to be e-prescribing, there would be another pop-up box that would confirm the medications that I wanted to e-prescribe and then allow me to send them. This then brings me back. You can see by this little recycle sign that we missed something. So I can go back. And in this case, this patient has a bunch of unusual in-office medications on it, which would not be what other patients in the real world would have. So I'm going to get rid of these. And I'm going to hit the reconcile and sign button again. Take a few minutes. Okay, now you can see I've got the green check mark, which is what everybody should be looking for. If I go back to my workflow component and refresh, you can see I get the check mark now. We also talked about earlier on the need to refresh the patient education component if for some reason there's no suggested content there, or if they add additional diagnoses. Anytime you add a problem or this visit in this case, you want to refresh. If I remove a bunch, you'll see this patient's being difficult. Never mind. But if we were to, in the real world, on a real patient, remove them and go back down to patient education and refresh, you'll then see that the list is now limited to just those conditions. Any of these suggested education pieces count. They can still use personal. You can see I've got a couple of favorites. So I can still do this. I'm going to get credit for meaningful use because I've given at least one suggested, but I can also use personal as well. You can also search for other items if you would like. I believe that, let me do CPOE. Most providers I think are going to be pretty comfortable with CPOE, but just in case, as we mentioned, most providers are going to go to the quick orders page. They're going to suggest or select the orders that they need, come to their little checkout box here, associate diagnoses. If they need to modify, they can click modify. Otherwise, they're just going to sign. They will not get that box because, again, they're going to be on a real patient. And now behind the scenes, things are processing and they will get credit Most providers understand this. The piece that we'll need to highlight is the nursing workflow when they're proposing and or ordering based on their credentials, which I think you all have a good handle on. If you don't, check with the SI3 clinical informaticists or clinic advocates, and they'll be able to walk you through that as well under a nursing login. This is actually my personal login, so it's set up as a physician. I think that covers all the pieces. If you guys have any other questions, let me show you one more thing here, sorry. So from this, you can use this new order entry component to add additional orders, including medications or other orders. So we could, let's see, we could order a Lamictal, oops, type too fast. Lamotrigine level. In this case, if they pick it from the new order entry, there's going to be additional details required, even if I try to just sign it. We are working on this piece. Usually they just have to say it's blood, which is already there and the only choice, which makes no sense. And then they can sign it. So you can order, and you can order medications from here as well. Although again, as I mentioned earlier, I still think the most efficient way of ordering medications is from that medication reconciliation screen, but you could do it from here. Recommend they click modify to be able to give additional details. And it's going to take you to this screen where they could also further modify or associate any additional diagnoses. And then of course make sure that you've got the send to selected to an e-prescribing pharmacy when appropriate. Of note, if it is a narcotic prescription, it will not let you send it to a pharmacy electronically. It will automatically default to one of the local printers. All right, I'm going to cancel out of that. Please let me know if you guys have any additional questions, and I hope that this has been helpful.